Welcome to another Real Retirement Stories. I'm Dan Wendell, Dolphin Financial Group. We're interviewing today Kala. Kala is a retiree in Florida. Let me bring him on the show and welcome Kala to the show. Thanks for coming. I start with everybody with the same question. At what age were you when you retired?
I had just turned 61.
61. And how long have you been retired?
October will be 12 years.
So I just asked you how old you were without saying it. So you've been married since, were you married when you retired at 61?
I was widowed. My wife had passed about 7 months before I retired.
Did that have any impact on your retirement date?
It probably did.
So do you remember, are you married now?
No.
Okay. Do you remember how you felt about retirement right before that 7 month, before the 5 months before you actually did retire? Do you remember how you felt?
I was an executive at a software company, and they had offered me a job that if I was going to design a job in the company, that was the job that they offered me. And I was going in to negotiate my salary and terms. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I sat up in a cold sweat and said, "What are you doing?" I sat down, took all my finances out. I didn't have a mortgage anymore. I owned a couple of cars. Life was good to me at that point. I had money in 401ks. And I kind of did a quick table and figured out if I stayed in the lifestyle I was accustomed to, I wouldn't have to eat dog food till I was 84. So I walked in and ready for a big hot negotiation. And I just said, "No, thanks for the job offer, but I'm retiring."
Were they surprised?
They were shocked.
Were you surprised that you did it?
Yeah, I was, but I haven't regretted it one moment.
So leading into that, you were scared when you woke up in the middle of the night. You're like, "What am I doing?" What was bothering you?
My job would have entailed international travel and lots of it, which sounds glamorous, but if you've ever traveled for business, it's not. I'd be waking up in a Marriott or a Hilton, and am I in Beijing or am I in Des Moines, Iowa? So all of a sudden, it just hit me. I don't want to do this anymore. My wife had passed. My kids were set. All three of them had graduated college. They had no debt. I was in a good place, and I'd been working since I was 15. So I decided, let's try this retirement gig.
Okay. So 45 years later, you're like, all right. So 61, you said?
Yeah.
Did you feel that was early?
Everyone thought it was. One of the reactions I got was, from the vice president of sales, goes, "Where are you going to work? No one retires from the software industry." And I said, "Well, I might be one of the first." So away I went.
Meaning everyone works until they can't work anymore?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Gets fired?
Or it gets fired, or the company folds, or whatever.
Were you so walk me through, okay, so you gave your notice, you said, "I'm done." Maybe they tried to control you back in or whatever, but you were pretty adamant.
Well, it was a really interesting situation because I was the longest tenured employee. I started with the company as a startup. I was employee number 17, and 8 had left before I got there. When I left the company, there were hundreds of employees worldwide, and it was a multi-million-dollar operation from hundreds of thousands of dollars operation. So I had a lot of knowledge in the company, and I just I hadn't even told my kids yet, and so only the CEO and the vice president of sales knew, and they were like, "Well, who else knows this?" I said, "I've told no one. I will let you pick my brain. You tell me when you want me gone. I can walk out the building right now, or I'll stay." And they decided to start picking my brain for a couple of months. About a month after I told them, they announced it to the company. And then it was a long goodbye.
Were you feeling confident during that time frame when it was becoming more and more real that you weren't going to work anymore and not get a paycheck anymore?
Yeah, I never really worried about it. I mean, I had enough money that if I needed to work, Walmart needs greeters.
So you had no concern. What were your main fears? Did you have any fears about anything at that point?
Yeah, what I was going to do with my time.
Financially, you were okay, but time-wise, you were little concerned.
Yeah.
You felt you had enough to retire, or were you thinking, let's just roll the dice?
It was kind of a little bit of both. I felt I could be comfortable. But it was also a roll the dice. If this doesn't work, I was known in the industry that I was in. Believe me, my phone was ringing. You done with retirement? You want to come out of retirement? So at any time I could have, and the company would have opened their arms to me if I decide to come back.
Okay.
But it became a decent life.
And going to the numbers, you said you did a back of the napkin type math.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever go further than that and like do a full spreadsheet or get an opinion, or you just rolled with it?
I rolled with it. It was funny because I had money put away, cash. I had some CDs, things like that. So I was living off of those. I didn't even look at my 401k, and then all of a sudden I said, I have all this money all over the place. Let me see what it's done. And much to my surprise, it had grown.
Did you, and by any stretch, I don't think looking at your numbers at that time, you would say you were super rich.
Oh, I was absolutely not super rich. It was like, I don't live beyond my means, though. So I had a nice house, raised 3 wonderful children, did things the right way, and I don't want for much. I got beyond that. I need the bigger car and the bigger house and things like that. And I lived that life while I was working. And then I got to the point where it was more important to pay things off. So I didn't have the normal debt that I think people have. They still have mortgages. They still have, I didn't have any of that. I had to pay my taxes. That was pretty much it.
And just so the listeners are clear, you weren't sitting on $20 million, and
I was not.
It's so
sitting
easy
on
to do that.
anything.
Right. Okay.
My dad was a mason. My mom was a factory worker, and looking back on it, I didn't know we were growing up poor because they raised, we didn't want for anything. But now looking back, we were probably a pretty poor family. So.
Yeah. So, okay, you were hoping for the best a little bit. What surprised you the most about retirement?
How many things there are to do?
Just things to do with your time.
Yeah. I mean, so I've gone both ways. I've traveled. I traveled extensively for the first 2 years after I retired, and then my mom got sick, and I became her caregiver for a couple of years. So I moved her into my house, and it was 2 of my kids had come home from college. So my mom was there. We had 3 generations living there, and when she passed, and my kids had moved out. I was sitting on this big house all by myself in New Jersey with a ridiculous property tax bill. And I said, well, maybe I'll go to Florida, because it also snowed a lot that winter.
Was that a big factor?
Oh, it was the biggest factor.
Were you shoveling your own driveway?
I had a 125-foot driveway, and in the middle of it, and this is at the Jersey Shore. So understand, like, you can go 8 years and have no snow or have flurries. Oh, look, the ground is snow covered, and then it's gone the next day. For some reason, that winter, it snowed 6 to 8 inches about every 6 or 7 days. And in the middle of the winter, my snowblower broke because it hadn't been used in years. So when I took it to be repaired, the guy said, well, I'll have it in May. He pointed to about 100 snowblowers waiting for repair. So I was shoveling snow, and I had a 125-foot driveway, which was not an easy thing. So being from that area, I'm a Yankee fan. Yankees had opened their home opener, and 2 weeks later, we had 10 inches of snow. So in mid-April, I'm out there going, I am never going to shovel snow ever again. So took off. My kids said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to see if I can find a place to live in Florida. And I literally spent 6 weeks driving up and down the east and west coasts of Florida until I landed in wonderful Dunedin, where I live now.
So how many years after retirement did it take for you to move out of New Jersey to Florida?
About 4.5.
Okay. So you said there was so much to do that surprised you. What did you do with your time? Let's say from the time you moved to Florida.
Well, that was just getting settled. When my first year in Florida, I rented a condo because I didn't know if I could live here. And so I took a year lease, and I was bi-stateual. I was literally flying back and forth. I had a car up there and a house up there, and I had a place here. So I really was weaning myself. Second year, I renewed my lease, and 2 of my kids were still living in my house at the time. And I said, you don't have to go now, but you have to go. And, there's no hurry. And they both found houses and bought houses. And I put my house for sale. And in the middle of my third year renting, I had all this cash in the bank from selling my house, and bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, little Florida house on a quiet street in Dunedin.
So you downsized.
Yes. That was probably the most surprising thing. I don't know if you know who Maria Kondo is, but she has this getting rid of things, you know.
Yeah.
So I Maria Kondo'd my life, starting with closets full of clothes. I mean, I had business suits, I had this, and she says, take everything out of every closet, every drawer, and put it in a pile, which was like 10 years worth of stuff, because the house I had like 5 walk-in closets. And it was like, pick each piece up and go, thank you. Will you wear this or not? And if not, thank it for its service and put it in a pile. So I did a third pile, the maybe pile. So at the end of the first day, I got through all my clothes, and 3/4 of them were in the thank you very much, let's give this stuff away. And then I went through the maybe pile, and pretty much 90% of that got sent away. So I was at a point where I could probably live out of a suitcase.
Wow.
And it was exhilarating. And then I had over the years, my wife and I added to the house, and so there's lots of accumulated stuff. And I went from over 5,000 square feet to 650 square feet in the condo I was living here, and I didn't bring any furniture with me, so I furnished this locally, and started giving my furniture away, and started giving things away, and made multiple trips to the dump to just say goodbye to parts of my life, because here's probably an important thing. That's just stuff. The important thing is here. My memories are here. My memories don't exist in, set of plates or, whatever, tchotchkes on the wall.
Were you surprised at your ability to get rid of stuff? Was that something new for you?
Yes, because I tended to hang on to, I might use this sometime. So going through that exercise was liberating, because it allowed me to say goodbye. And I had what I needed. Also living down here for 2 years while still maintaining all my stuff up there taught me I didn't need it. So thinking about it prior, it probably would have freaked me out. But as I did it, I didn't regret a moment of it. It was liberating.
So it sounds like you haven't shoveled any snow since.
I have not. I have not. I've visited my son, and it has snowed, and I've watched him shovel, and I did not volunteer to help, and I got on the next flight out.
So what did you get wrong? What did you get wrong in the past 10 years with retirement?
The only thing that I can think that I got wrong is I did not physically take care of myself as well as I should. Everything else, things happen, and I worried a lot. So I think one of the transformations, and this has probably been over the past year, is I'm present. That I'm at peace with my past. It got me to where I am today. I used to fret about things. Gee, I should have done this. We all have that. When he said this, I should have said that. I've let all that go. I'm here because of, and I look at my 3 children, and they are all in a good place and productive members of society, and they have their life. And I might even say, not one of them has ever asked me for a penny. I mean, I would bail them out in a second. And
be careful, this is being recorded.
Yeah, I know that.
Don't let them watch.
No, but they're just really special people, and I think my wife and me, to some extent, must have done something right. That they value life, they value hard work, and they're all doing really well, and they encourage me to spend their inheritance. So.
Good. So you've seen a lot of people retire since you retired.
Oh, yeah.
Friends, family, neighbors. What are some of the common misconceptions that you think people have about retiring and retirement?
Well, first, I know a lot of people who haven't retired who should have. They're still working, and they're working in fear. Like, gee, I don't have enough, or what. And I don't know what their personal finances are, but after that many years, maybe things didn't work out. But I know some of them they do whatever they want and they're comfortable. So, maybe they love to work, and that's fine. I really like not having to answer every quarter. As I tell people, I used to worry about quarters, and we came down to the last 10 days, and it was like, try to get a sale in. The only quarters I worry about is if I have one for the Aldi shopping cart now. But the other thing is, even the people that are retired, I see a lot of them holding back. It's they're saving for something, and I don't know why. They're I call it when then syndrome. When this happens, then I will do this. When I get to this age, then I will do this. When my Social Security kicks in, then I will take that trip. And they have the money to do it. And I feel bad, because they're waiting for something to happen that probably will not, or they're afraid of something. So something that probably will not happen. So that's the other thing about being present. You don't worry about the future either. The future takes care of itself. And I have been fortunate in that, I started out with a very small amount, considering for retirement. I did have houses and things like that, assets, and I did sell the house, but here it is 12 years later, and I have more money than I had when I retired.
Is that because you had great returns, or because you haven't been spending, or because you got lucky? Like what would you say? Because I guess you're saying the misconception is people are fearful when they shouldn't be,
right,
without knowing their situation. But what made you switch? Well, actually, you were never fearful, it sounds like.
No, it's like people with investments are like, I'll take the 5% because it's guaranteed. It's like the stock market. It always goes up. Yeah. Does it crash and does it go down? I've lived through 3 of those or 4 of those, and every time it comes back with a vengeance. So I have some personal stocks that I have that have done very well. I'm a buy and hold guy. I'm not a trader. Most of the stocks I've had for 10 years or more. I have Apple. Apple's been very, very good to me. I bought Facebook, which is now Meta, when it went public. I remember it went public at $42 a share. So I bought a bunch of shares, and then when it in a month dropped to 21, I doubled my investment. Now it's trading at like $600, and it's still there. I haven't touched it yet. So it's good to know that I have things in different places, and I'm diversified. But I was also with my 401k, it was in the highest risk. And I know that they say when you get to a certain age, you want to start going lower risk, and I just rolled with it, and I've been lucky. So but luck is an element of design. I believe me, I watched the value of everything a few years ago go way down, and during COVID and things like that, and afterwards it just shot up, and I did not panic.
Didn't panic. And so you've seen a few people that you think should retire but haven't. You've seen people that retire and then say, wow, I should have done it sooner. What do you think are the keys to success in retirement? What's the critical point besides buying Apple at the right time?
Okay. The key, Dan, the real key is to have fun. If it's not fun, don't do it. Find things that you enjoy and have fun. That is my criteria right now for the past year. I worked on being present, and now it's every time I get approached to do something, I go, does that sound like it'll be fun? And if it does, I do it. If I don't, doesn't sound like fun, I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. And I'm good at saying yes and no to things. So, but I think the key is finding things that you enjoy. I do enjoy, like the past year, I've dedicated myself to some strength training. I've lost a bunch of weight. I have more to go, but I feel better about myself. I'm taking better care of myself because I want to be around for a long time. I do want to get to the point where I'm a burden to my children, where my money runs out. That'll be a while though.
But that's not something you're worried about.
No, I'm not. And again, I'm frugal. I don't go spend things on, some I forget. I've read this in a bunch of places, and it's like stuff is not important, memories are. So do things that create memories for yourself. Is it, shortly I'm going to be going to Italy on a trip. Never been. I've been to every part of France in my life. I've been to all over the country. I drove Route 66 from Chicago to the Santa Monica Pier. I mean, there are things that I've wanted to do, and I do them. And now when I go, I've done 2 road trips this summer, and they're open-ended, and I don't plan them. I get in my car and I head in a direction. I did Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. And it took me about a month to do it. And I had hotel karma that you wouldn't believe. Did not plan where I would be the next day because I wanted to see how far I got. And then when I got there, I found a place to stay. And only twice I was unlucky, and it wasn't awful. And the rest of the time, it was magical.
Do you wish you approached retirement like that right off the bat, or did it take you a while to get into that groove of living in the moment and not worrying?
When I first retired, I did travel, and then my mom got sick, and I stayed home for a couple of years. And then after that, I moved, it took a while. I moved to Florida. So it was like getting to know a whole new place. So I spent a few years like doing day trips around here and learning the area and the restaurants I like to go out and eat. But now I'm back at, okay, there's a world out there that I need to see.
Is there anything you wish you did prior to calling it quits at 61, leading up to it? Anything financially you would have done, you wish you would have done?
Absolutely. Don't explain the Roth IRA to me. I was in a regular IRA. It was like, oh, put this money in here and it's pre-tax money. And now that I'm starting to take out of that, well, nothing is pre-tax. It's deferred tax. And now I not only have to pay the tax on the money I invested, but I have to pay the tax on any gains. And, I have these IRAs since I was in my 30s. Or these 401ks. So, over the years, that is a substantial gain, and I owe tax on every penny I pull out. So I tell my kids, I tell everyone, put it in a Roth. The taxes that you pay on the money are minor compared to what's going to happen on the back end.
So some tax planning would have been nice had you done it prior to.
Nice. And my company provided that, but it was one of those big companies that came in and sent an advisor in quarterly to talk to us. And I have a feeling they were selling their products and they weren't really interested in us. And no one ever explained the benefits of a Roth to me. I talk to everyone about that. Young people, my kids.
Looking back, looking back on it, would you have retired at the same time? Knowing what you know now, would you have retired earlier, or would you have worked a little longer?
I think I retired at the right time. It was the right time for me.
Is anything keeping you up at night now?
No, having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, but I usually fall back asleep. Nothing, I'm actually at peace. And that's a good thing. I don't worry about money. I don't worry about my children. I don't worry about my grandchildren. I know they are all well taken care of. I've had this miraculous life. I had the most wonderful wife that we just grew together. Unfortunately, she passed at 60 or 61, and that was very difficult for me because she was, I was with her since I was 19. But we always lived life to the fullest, and she always said, if I go first, I want you to go on and enjoy life. And I said to her, well, if I go first, I want you to. She put her hand on her hip, said, I will. So she was a special person, and I treasure her every day, and to her wishes, I am living life to the fullest without being stupid.
It sounds like a fairy tale retirement here. There has to be something you don't like. What's your least favorite part about being retired? 100-degree day in Florida.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I escaped the cold, so I try not to complain about the heat here in Florida, especially now that it's like 95 degrees outside and 90% humidity. I went for a 4.5-mile walk at 7 o'clock this morning and came home totally drenched, and took me like 10 minutes to get my t-shirt off because I was stuck to my body. So that first world problems. I have no problems. I have a good life. I've had a good life, and I plan on continuing to have a good life.
So what tip would you give to someone that's thinking about it? They're looking, they might be 60, they might be 70, and they're saying they're not sure. What would you tell them?
I would say do it. Absolutely do it. And not only do it with gusto. Do those things that you always wanted to do. People have passions, and then people have work. And very few people have their work as their passion. Those are probably the luckiest people, and they probably never will stop working. I have an older friend who's an attorney, and he doesn't practice as much as he did, but he's never going to let it go. It's what defines him. Do it. Spend money. And that's the other thing. Don't do it and turn on your TV and start to watch The Price is Right in the afternoon. I watched my mom do that, and she had her game shows in the afternoon, and probably had something to do with her health too. So I'm active. Do it, but get out there.
I know a lot of studies point to having the successful life, or living a long life and healthy life, has a lot to do with people you surround yourself with, and you losing your spouse so early. What have you done to make up for that lack of connection with your spouse?
I have good friends. I have friends. First, my children are wonderful. We have a group chat. 2 of them are still in New Jersey. One's in California. That we send pictures. We rib each other. I mean, there's multiple times a day we touch each other, and I go visit them often. But I've made some friends. They're important to me. And I'm always looking to find. Every person that you meet has something to offer you, has something interesting. I'm curious about people. I don't try not to judge them. Sometimes it's difficult, but I really, everyone has something to offer. Everyone has a story to tell you, and everyone might make you do something else, or motivate you to do something else. So, I've filled in the blanks very nicely, and life is good.
Is there any last thoughts you have, or anything you want to say about retirement or your experience?
all we have is the present. Right now is all that matters. I can't do anything about what happened. I have no prediction for the future. I can leave here and get hit by a semi, or I could leave here and get home and live till I'm 100. You know, the latter is the one I want. But you know, there's songs about it, you know, like live like you're dying or whatever. I don't like that negative connotation. Hate the term bucket list too, because it's like, okay, when you finish with your, it's like I have a to-do list, you know,
Mhm.
and Italy is on my to-do list. Spain is on my to-do list, you know, Portugal. Glacier National Park is on my do list. And I will probably do all of those things in the next year or two. And, you know, some of them I'll do in the next couple of months. So live in the present. This is all you have. And if you have enough money, you asked about retirement. If you have enough money, do it. Stop working. Go for your passion.
Well, I appreciate you sharing with us. It's been enlightening and helpful, and hopefully someone will pick something up from this and learn from you. Kala, thanks for participating, and enjoy
No
Ireland.
worries, Dan. I plan on it.
Enjoy Italy.
I will.